I met that man in central France 2 years ago. He's now 84. You heard about the company Michelin. Well, with French we say Michelin, but I would try to say Michelin. It's a women name, Michelin, in France. So, okay, Michelin, the grandfather of that man, when I came to see him, Francois Michelin, 2 years ago, I spoke 3 hours with him at lunchtime, and I asked him, tell me the story of your organization. Why is it so famous, and how did you become the #1 in the world in the tire industry? He told me the story of his grandfather. My grandfather, Edward, was the founder of our company. He was an engineer, he was a businessman, and he was a philosopher. And he was very humble, and he was very magnanimous. One day, a young man called Marius Mignol came to the company, knocked at the door, and said, I want to work for you. The chief of staff received him and asked him, okay, Mr. Mignol, but do you have education? Do you have degree? And Mr. Mignol answered her, or answered him, I don't remember if it was a man or woman, I have no formal education, but have been working for a few years in the printing industry. So she thought over and she told him, okay, we take you, and they sent him to the printing department of Michelin. After a few days or a few months, Edouard Michelin, the CEO of the organization, heard about that, and he called immediately the chief of staff. And he told him, are you crazy? Are you crazy? You've sent to the printing department a place where we are not going to get to know that man well. He's not even going to get to know himself well because there is not much to do there. A man just because he has no formal education. What's that? Are you crazy? Remember, you have to break the stone in order to discover the diamond that is hidden inside. Break the guy. Send him to the import-export department of the organization. They send to the import-export department, commercial department, a man without any formal education. After a month, Edouard Michelin came down to meet the new people who were working there, and he saw on the table of that man, Marius Mignol, a kind of converter, a ruler, something to convert the currencies very quickly, because he was dealing with international markets. He looked at that as an engineer, and he said, this man is a genius. He has nothing to do here. Send him to the research department. You see, Edouard Michelin was looking for talents. He wanted to get to know people well. And he wanted those people to get to know themselves well in order that they could put their talents at the service of society, of the whole world. He was an educator. He was a philosopher. He was a real leader. He wanted to bring out the greatness in each and every human being that was working for him. They sent him to that department. What was the problem? The problem at that time was very simple. Cars were going faster and faster, but the tires were warming up, and it was very dangerous for people to drive. More than 100 kilometers per hour, tires were burning. They were burning, and nobody understood how do you stop this process of heating. How do you stop? So in the Michelin company, there were incredible mathematicians and physicists there trying to understand how this worked, the process of stopping this heating. And nobody understood, nobody could come to a conclusion. And they were the best mathematicians and physicists we had in France from École Polytechnique. And then came a man without any formal education. He was supposed to work there and try to understand how these work. And this man, through contemplation, observation, passion for the tire, without any mathematics, discovered that if you put inside the wire radial, not parallel, but radial wires, we stop the process of heating of the tire. Pure intuition, contemplation, a big talent, a big, incredible talent. And this man changed the whole industry of the tire. This is the radial tire. The radial tire was born from the genius of a very simple man without any formal education. But the problem is, and my question is, how do you produce Marius Mignol? Marius Mignol was not produced by himself. Marius Mignol was produced by a great leader who was obsessed with this idea of transforming people, helping people identify and multiply their talents so that they can put it at the service of the organization, the country, and the whole world. So the question in the corporate culture of this organization, which is very specific in France, everybody knows Michelin is a very specific place. Many people will never go there to work. Many people will never go there to work. If you go to Michelin and you say, I have a Harvard diploma, a Harvard degree, MBA, PhD, they will say, you're very good. Marcel Mignol had no degree. Can you do what he did with your Harvard diploma? What are they going to tell him? They're going to tell this guy, we have to test you. The fact that you have a Harvard PhD is a good thing. We are not going to split on that, but we have to know you and you have to know yourself. So we have to test you. We have to put you in different places, in different circumstances where you are going to be able to identify your talent, and we as an organization will be also able to identify your talent. And at the end of the day, you will be where you have to be. So don't ask me where you will be in 4 years, because we don't have any idea. There is no career plan here. People are put where they have to be according to their own talents, identified by our own organization. 90% of French people will never go to work there. They want security of employment, and they want security in salary. But people with greatness, people capable of taking a risk, people who want to know who am I and want to put this at the service of society will go to Michelin, will go to work there. And you build what we call a corporate culture. People identify. It is a unique company in France that have a very precise corporate culture. It's incredible. It's a kind of miracle. It has a corporate culture that is very identifiable. And it is based on the history of one man, Marius Mignol. The history of a man coached, directed by a great, incredible leader. What I'm telling you those things, I'm telling you this, although this has to do with business, but this is because this has nothing to do with business. It is how do we serve people? Many people say, well, we serve when we help people to do certain things. Yeah, we serve anytime we help people. We try to help them in their material needs, spiritual needs, whatever it is. But we help them mostly when we help them develop as human beings, identify their talents, multiply. And this is, in fact, in the end of the day, what virtuous leadership is about.